Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you called What is Destiny? Because that's one of the most common questions that I get anytime I tweet or post video content about this game. By now, most people know that it's a first-person shooter, it's set in space, that Bungie made it, and it's the next big project from Activision, which is, the Call of Duty parent company. But not a lot of people really feel satisfied about what's the story about, what does multiplayer feel like, how would I go about approaching this, is this Borderlands, is this Halo, is this like Call of Duty, how would I compare it to other things? How does it play? What should I know? What systems? So today I'm going to try to break it down for you as to what Destiny is. Going to talk about multiplayer briefly before I segment into a cutscene that will explain the story far better than I ever will, but I'll put a timestamp on the screen in case you just want to skip the cutscene. Briefly on multiplayer, because we'll come back around to it later, it feels kind of like if Call of Duty and Halo had a baby. It runs at 30 FPS, proper 1080p, so it feels Halo-esque. The movement is Halo-esque. It's not as fast as Call of Duty. You've got big floaty jumps, you can double jump a la Unreal style. A couple of different classes, each one has different abilities, but you'll find that the abilities aren't as important as your gun skill. It comes to a lot of one-on-one or 2v1 kind of gun battles. You don't die as fast as Call of Duty, but you have a little bit more health than most Halo games, so you're not going to be able to outskill people like crazy like you could in Halo 2. It'll be more like trading, kind of like in Halo 4, and you're definitely not going to be able to insta-drop people like Call of Duty, unless of course you're sniping. Sniping is very powerful, and the golden gun I was just using is very powerful, but it's also kind of loot-based, going back to old school FPSs. You have to manage your special ammunition and some of your special abilities and stuff. But again, I think the easiest way to say it, even though some of you will hate it, is as if Halo and Call of Duty had a baby. Now I'm going to show you a cutscene that's going to explain the basis of the story, and there'll be a transition point or like a timestamp to where I come back to talking, just in case you don't want to watch this cutscene.
We called it the Traveler, and its arrival changed us forever. Great cities were built on Mars and Venus. Mercury became a garden world. Human lifespan tripled. It was a time of miracles. We stared out at the galaxy and knew that it was our destiny to walk in the light of other stars. But the Traveler had an enemy, a darkness which had hunted it for eons across the black gulfs of space. Centuries after our golden age began, this darkness found us. And that was the end of everything. But it was also a beginning.
Is it possible? There you are. Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian. It worked. You're alive. You don't know how long I've been looking for you. I'm a ghost. Actually, now I'm your ghost. And you, well, you've been dead a long time. So you're gonna see a lot of things you won't understand. This is fallen territory. We aren't safe here. I have to get you to the city. Hold still. Don't worry, I'm still with you. We need to move. Fast.
Now that we have a basis for the story, I'll talk about single player. I really liken single player more to Borderlands than I do just about anything else, and I would also kind of say Fallout to an extent, at least in the alpha and beta gameplays, because we're on a mostly destroyed Earth, but then again, that's Borderlands 2. Borderlands and Fallout share a very similar style. The single player is very, very much so unlike Halo. It just has a... I know I described it, I know the multiplayer and single player look different, but the goals are very different. Halo follows a story. You kind of have to, go down the corridor, do your own thing, hit the objectives, cutscene, go, go, go. This single player is very open-ended. After the first couple levels, which are of course more narrow and it just forces you to learn your abilities and that sort of stuff, it opens up and lets you go do whatever you want. For instance, right now I am allowing my ghost, who is kind of like a guy who protects me, he's Peter Dinklage, the AI voices him, he's hacking into a computer terminal to turn on that giant array satellite in the background that'll improve communications for everybody in the area, blah 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 blah. But the gameplay is a lot like Borderlands. You're going to run around a lot, you're going to find a lot of different sort of weapons. Not all of them are good, not all of them are bad, a lot of them are more interesting to have different abilities, like this one reloads faster, this one has less recoil when you combine with this item. This one right here has some sort of elemental damage which will destroy shields but doesn't do much to bodies, so you have to swap out to your shotgun to finish them off. I think I'm going to pick up another thing on the ground. See, I just picked up an engram right there, which is kind of like a computer blueprint or details to get more stuff. And the reward at the end of this is you level up, you get more abilities, and you, of course, get more loot. And this feels very much so like Borderlands to me. However, how it relates back to Halo is that it's very, very rich in lore, very, very dense in story. Every single story that I'm doing, every map has a lot of plan, a lot of detail to it, proper Russian voice actors, Russian language, little puns that I wouldn't get, a lot of very creative art design, and there's all sorts of little hidden ghosts all over the map that I can find that unlock extra grimoires, that unlock extra side stories and quests and little missions, and it even does stuff with Bungie.net. So I can go on Bungie.net and I can track my progress, and I can also read about the story. Yeah, these are kind of boss. Anytime you see yellow, that means boss. They are coming to stamp you. You can track your progress, you can read about some of the different stories about the world that you're in, kind of learn more about it, because as you saw from the cutscene, if you watched it, you wake up into this world knowing absolutely nothing, so learning about it is also kind of important. And again, I kind of like the exploring your own aspects, I like the lore aspects, but the part of it where most of the missions I'm fighting the same enemies over and over and they kind of come at me wave after wave after wave gets a little bit boring, except for the fact that you can do this with friends. Now, right now I'm doing this solo because I was playing the game early. I was fortunate enough to get an early access code, so I was kind of just doing my own thing here. But normally you're matched up with a group of people kind of randomly and you work with them through the mission as a team, or you can do this with friends, or just kind of however you want to. You could, I guess you could always do solo, but the missions are inherently online. They're just kind of always online. So it's very, very easy for other people to join you. In one of the previous missions, some other guy joined and he turned on some crazy hard challenge and they just started dropping tanks from the sky that obliterated me. Don't know why he did that. but he did, and that's just kind of how it panned out. So it's also got that very, how would I say, social aspect to it, in that it encourages you to work with your friends, to play with other people. And again, I wish I could show you more of that now, but I was playing early and a lot of that really wasn't working at the time. However, when you get on, it very much so will be. When you're done buying your goods, you can go back to a place called the Tower. The Tower is essentially like the Citadel from Mass Effect. There's a lot of different vendors, a lot of different places to get quests, to buy bounties, to trade in stuff, explore stories, blah, 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 but it's all free range. It's all on your own. It's not going to babysit you and walk you through it. The next questions you probably want to ask are about multiplayer. How does multiplayer tie into all this nonsense? Well, in this sort of fantasy world, there's a place called the Crucible, where you and some like-minded others can kind of test your skills against each other in this sort of fair battle arena to prove who is the best and earn honor and all that sort of stuff. And the things you earn in multiplayer, you can then use in single player. So like if I did a certain number of achievements, killed enough people, got a bounty, did something, I would unlock weapons and armor and gear and abilities that I could then go to single player and use against some of the harder single player missions, and vice versa. All of the things that I pick up from single player, I can bring over to multiplayer and use, and you're going to think that that makes it crazy unbalanced, because the guy that has the best gun is obviously then going to win multiplayer. However, there is a balancing to it. What they decided to do is add sort of a, I think the word they used is scaling, or maybe it was a redistribution. So if I jump into multiplayer and I have the dumpiest gun in the entire game, what it's going to do is it's going to get the average loadout of everybody in the lobby, and it's going to scale my gun up to compete with theirs. It's going to make it more normal compared to their sort of super weapons. And the same kind of way, if I have a super weapon and I join a lobby full of people that have just started playing this game, it's going to scale back the damage on my super weapon to make it more in line to what they have. However, the people with the good stuff are still going to have an advantage in that most of these weapons is not necessarily like just getting the one with the highest, attack number. They have very different recoil patterns. They reload differently. They also have different magazine sizes, different sights, which is very important. And you have to unlock all of this. Like, you have to go through it. Some have elemental effects, fire, electricity, void, all sorts of strange stuff that I honestly have not figured out yet. So if I take all of my super gear and go down there and noob land, I still have all of those effects that other people don't have and abilities that other people that don't have, but it's not going to be like I'm just dealing godlike damage and nuking them. They're still going to be able to kill me as easy as I kill them, but I'm just going to have more options on how I do it. So that's their way of making it fair, and it also gives you an incentive in multiplayer to continue to grind and get new weapons and get better stuff, because while it's not going to eliminate people or delete them from the map or inherently do tons more damage, it is still going to be better. It's going to be more fun, easier to play with, that sort of stuff. So I guess I kind of get this idea. It's really not a problem right now, but we're kind of capped at level 8 or 9 or 10 here in the beta. I haven't seen really extreme level peoples, so it shouldn't be a problem, although again I've not seen any sort of really extreme lobby balances or anything. Also only one game mode, which is essentially domination. Other things that are different about this game, unlike shooters, I have my special abilities. This class I can call in what I call the golden gun. It's a one-shot kill wonder. It just murders people, but I only get 3 shots. I can only call it in every couple minutes. The more I kill people, the more points I earn, the more objectively I play, the faster I am able to call it in, but it still comes in very slowly. Think kind of like the Titans in Titanfall. The better you play, the faster you get it, except instead of being on a very short timer, I'm on a very, very long timer here. I'm kind of I'm a gunslinger. I'm a hunter, basically. I don't know why I said gunslinger. Oh yeah, because gunslinger is my primary ability. I'm really weak. I don't have a lot of health. I'm pretty fast, pretty mobile, and I deal a lot of damage. So again, fast, high damage, very low health. There's other people called, what are they called? Titans. Crazy amounts of health, pretty good damage, pretty good mobility. And then there's warlocks that are low on almost everything, except they have a lot of unusual abilities and a lot of projectiles they can kind of summon and throw. It makes them a little bit difficult to deal with. They're definitely the utility class in this game. But again, all 3 are supposed to be balanced, and leveling up really higher or lower than the other person is just going to give you more ways to kill them and not going to make you a god. How do I feel about multiplayer? I feel like this is a really good casual game. I don't think this is going to be a competitive game. I don't think this is going to be like League of Legends or like people are making out Call of Duty or Counter-Strike, like one of those really hardcore kind of games. But I think this will be a really fun casual game to play, and I won't have to worry about getting pub stomped into the ground, or having to try to grind out to be the best in the world to get any sort of respect. I don't think people are really going to care too much how I play the multiplayer, which is good. I'll probably expand on that and do a whole video on the topic, but that's multiplayer in a nutshell. Right now, just in case you're curious, I'm using a scout rifle. It's a single fire rifle. I'd liken it to the marksman rifles from Call of Duty. I only need a couple shots to kill, but it shoots kind of slow. It is very accurate, but it's the one I like the best so far. Also, pro tip, shotguns are very, very good. Shotguns and snipers typically the way to go. Pulse rifles, definitely not going to be the way to go. I just really don't like those things. They just, funny kind of feel to it. A couple more questions about Destiny. It's going to be what systems is it on? I think it's on all systems: PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. Of course, the next gen ones will work better. I don't think it's on PC yet, but there's always rumors about PC development. There is also an app. As far as I'm aware, all that the app does is it allows you to manage your Bungie.net stuff and kind of change your gear and loadouts, so you could kind of configure that at home and then come back from home and load it up and play, and you wouldn't have to configure anything. Unfortunately, the app, as far as I'm aware, I don't even know. I don't even know anything about it. I don't bother. I don't put a lot of apps on my phone. I'm kind of a paranoid guy, especially if it's like needs access to all these things, and I'm just like, nah, don't think so. Not gonna do that. That's it for this game, for this multiplayer, for this overview. Hopefully I've explained what Destiny is. Hopefully it makes more sense to you now. And I'm going to kind of end on one more cutscene to explain a little bit more of the single player and the story. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.
There was a time when we were much more powerful. But that was long ago. Until it wakes and finds its voice, I am the one who speaks for the traveler. You must have no end of questions, Guardian. In its dying breath, the traveler created the ghosts to seek out those who can wield its light as a weapon. Guardians to protect us and do what the traveler itself no longer can.
What happened to it?
I could tell you of the great battle centuries ago. How the traveler was crippled. I could tell you of the power of the darkness, its ancient enemy. There are many tales told throughout the city to frighten children. Lately, those tales have stopped. Now, the children are frightened anyway. The darkness is coming back. We will not survive it this time.
Its armies surround us. The Fallen are just the beginning.
What can I do?
You must push back the darkness. Guardians are fighting on Earth and beyond. Join them. Your ghost will guide you. I only hope he chose wisely.
I did. I'm sure of it. We're in this together now.